It's about 11 o'clock in the morning here on Thursday, February 20th, 2025. Yeah, 2/3 of the way through February. Last night it got down to like 15 degrees down there into the teens. And this morning it's gonna probably peak around 25 degrees. For those of you in Celsius land, we're not gonna cross zero, so the water supply is completely frozen solid for the animals. There's no way to redeem that, so I came here to the pond. Yesterday I checked the pond and the pond wasn't even frozen, but I guess last night we got a little it's just a little bit. It's like a half an inch at best. No, I take that back. I guess near the edge it's like an inch. It's not strong enough to walk on though, so if the cows decide to walk on it, well, maybe it is. No, it's not. It'll crack. So they won't be stranded there in the middle of the pond. And yeah, so I let the cows out of the rows because they're not getting water. They need a lot of water. They're not like the sheep. The sheep can go a while without water. They don't drink very much. So I'm going to bring water to the sheep and the dogs. With the cows, I'm just going to let them wander the property. And then tomorrow it's supposed to get above freezing. And then I think on Saturday, the water should be good to go again. And I'll round them all up, put them back where they belong. Maybe I'll separate the bulls from the cows. I don't see a reason to. There's no cows that I don't want to get pregnant. So I think I'll just let the bulls on the cows. And if there's a cow that they missed, they can breed it. I'm not going to keep it, so I don't care which one breeds it. So with the cold weather, we've had a couple sheep deaths. A little more that I'm happy with, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to tell you how many. And I was doing some research on the lump, the cyst, or the abscess on the behind of my star ram, a ram that I can't lose. Otherwise, I'll have to go get a good ram. And but anyway, there's a couple thoughts I have, and there's two ways to approach raising animals when it comes to medicine. One way is you keep a veterinarian on call, and you buy all the medicines and the vaccines, and you learn how to doctor the animals as best as you can to save, expenses, because the vets aren't cheap. You're paying for somebody else's time. And the only issue with that strategy is that you end up breeding animals that shouldn't be bred, and you end up weakening your flock or your herd or whatever. I'll sit here. My back is really sore. I don't know why. I've been stretching and stuff, but. And if you're the sort that is willing to make that investment and do all that stuff, if you're willing to figure out what kind of feed and how much feed to give them, and if you're that type of person that's willing to do that, I don't have any complaints. The only real complaint I have is, number one, tell people that you're selling your animals to what kind of animals they are. If they've been bottle fed, I need to know that, especially with sheep, right? I'm going to breed some bottle fed lambs if they survive, but as you guys know anything about bottle fed lambs, their chances of survival are just not good, even if you're really good at doctoring them, okay? Now the other style, I'm going to say the Greg Judy style, is you largely do a hands-off approach, right? You let the animals run their course, and you let the viruses and the bacteria and the parasites do their job, right? And you might be saying, like, well, that's terrible. What's the job of these things? These things that exist naturally in the natural world. What's their purpose? And I'll tell you what their purpose is. Their purpose is to weed out the weak ones. You have to, I'm not an evolutionist by any stretch of the imagination, but when we're breeding these animals, we only want the strong ones to breed. We want the weak ones to die. If I had a way of going through and identifying which animals carry the strong traits and which ones don't, and then just neuter the ones that don't, and it was like really simple and didn't cost much money and didn't take much time to do it, I would do it. I think everybody else in the entire world would too, right? Now, since I don't have any tools that I can predict how well an animal is going to perform, and I can't identify any underlying issues or traits that they're carrying that might be bad, the second best thing is just to let nature run its course, right? When the animal's dead, it can't breed. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's a really good way to sort it out. Another thing I like to think about is if there's a sick animal, an animal that's just not cutting it on my farm and requires special treatment or special feed or some kind of medicine to survive, and I sell that animal to somebody, they better know that they're inheriting all of those issues, right? And if they think like let's say I build up a reputation as a good farmer, that's a long way from now, if you're wondering. And so somebody buys a sheep from me thinking that, oh, this Jonathan Gardner guy knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for 50 years. I'll be dead in 50 years, but he's been doing this for 50 years. So I can trust his animals. And I'm selling animals that I don't want because they're bad, and they buy them thinking they're a good animal. That's just bad, right? So really, to keep my reputation up and to help out people who are getting into farming, I have to cull. I have to get rid of the ones that are not strong. I have to sell them in a way that the people buying them know that they're getting a sick animal, right? And right now, that's taking them to the sale barn. Everybody knows if you go to the sale barn, you're buying sick animals, right? So that's the awful truth of it, right? Now, I saw a fella, and he seems to have some really good advice on vaccines and different things like that, and antibiotics and stuff. And you guys know my stance on it. I'm not doing vaccines. And there's several reasons why. One of the reasons why is because there's been a whole lot of deception in the medical industry, and they have not provided a way for us to identify whether they've even cleaned up their act, right? There's a whole lot of deception happening over there. And we have no way of knowing what's lie and what's truth, right? They've lied to us too many times about this kind of stuff, right? So their reputation is out the window. And when they tell me things like, oh, if you vaccinate the animals, they're not going to die from disease X, I know they're lying to my face about it, because they are, right? If you believe that vaccines will save your animals from certain diseases, that's not how vaccines work, right? And you got the wrong idea, right? So I'm just not doing the vaccines. I'm not doing antibiotics, right? I'm not doing deworming or any parasite control, aside from moving the animals and trying to grow good grass for them to eat, right? And part of the reason is because I don't trust the medical industry right now. And the other part of the reason is I need to build strong animals that can survive in the conditions that I provide them, right? So survive and thrive, right? So anyway, that's my position on that. And if you want to talk to me more about I have nothing against people that are pro-vaccine or pro-antibiotics or pro-dewormer or parasite medicine. I have nothing against those guys. If that's the route you want to take, you go for it, right? Just don't tell me what to do, okay? I won't tell you what to do. You don't tell me what to do, okay? We're going to figure out which way is the best, because one of us is going to have a better result than the other. And then when we start looking around and seeing who's doing well and who's not, at some point, if this non-vaccine route doesn't work out, like 10 years from now, and my sheep are all dying still, then maybe I'll start looking into it. You know what I mean? But right now I'm trying this out. I'm seeing what happens, right? Okay. But one of the things that we have to be cognizant of is the impending disaster, and it's already struck with worms, okay? And the disaster is this: if we've over-medicated our animals, then we've developed medicine resistant diseases that you can't treat with any of the medicines that are on the market. And the reason why I know that's already happened with dewormers is because if I go to the store and I say, I want to deworm my sheep, they give me 4 options, and they have this weird strategy. Oh, you do this one, then you do this one, then you do this one. That tells me the medicine's not working, right? And same thing with antibiotics, right? If you go to the store and say, give me antibiotics, they're like, well, what animal, what kind of disease? Because the antibiotics aren't working anymore. We've overused them, right? And so my strategy is like, well, I'm not going to use them. If the animals need antibiotics or vaccines to survive, I don't want them on the farm. We can turn them into dog food, which I'm perfectly happy feeding my animals to my dogs. And again, I know that sounds harsh, but that's the way nature is. That's what's happening out here every day. And my chief concern is not cattle or sheep. My chief concern is developing the soil, right? If I can get the soil to grow strong and healthy, then I should have strong and healthy plants, and I should have strong and healthy animals, right? And that's my primary focus. The sheep and the cattle are a means to that end, right? And I'm using them. They're tools, right? Their manure, their grazing habits, that's the thing that I'm looking for. And if they happen to die, that's sad. I don't want all of them to die. But, some of them are going to survive. Greg Judy, he said when he first got his sheep flock, he lost like a third of them the first year. Okay. And I think this is one of the reasons why raising sheep is tough, is because they die. They die a lot, right? And there's really not much. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff to try to prevent it, but they're still going to die, right? Anybody that tells you that they can prevent sheep death is lying to you. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts and stuff. It doesn't make it easier. It really doesn't. It's just not fun coming out to the pasture and seeing animals that you thought were perfectly healthy and thriving lying on their side. It just doesn't help. But for every animal that's doing that, there's 10 more that are fat and healthy and happy, right? And that ewe that dies, I'm not going to condemn any more lambs to inherit her traits that caused her not to be as healthy as she could be. And I have to go through and check all the lambs that I have, and the ones that were from her, I have to sell them. I can't keep those genes in my flock, and that's going to be tough when I take an otherwise animal that looks perfectly healthy and saying I can't risk it. I have to let it go, But anyway, that's where I'm at. It is cold. The wind is blowing. At least the air is dry, At least the air is dry. So I'm going to go give water to these animals. Hopefully the cows will find the pond here. It looks like they're coming. I don't know. Guys, you have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.